It's December 3rd, and of course, this is the video log that takes 30,000 to a million. After taking through the account, I want to discuss a strange option phenomenon movement in the uranium stocks. All right, so here we go. Going into the account here, I'm sitting at 135,700, which would be an all-time record close for the account on video, but yesterday actually finished at 136,230, which is the all-time high close officially. Today I was down a little bit, and mainly due to this option activity I'm going to talk about a little bit. But first, before that, here are the option positions that I currently hold. Most of them are sells, with the exception for 3 contracts for Apple, which are calls that I've bought. You can see the ticker, the strike price, whether it's a call or a put, the expiration date, number of contracts, and whether it's a sell or a buy. I'm going to scroll through them fairly quickly. On the right, you'll see the change in liability for the day. Look at this one, $3, the $3 one. All right, I'm going into my stock positions. This is Apple, fairly flat on the day. Everything else was up a little bit or down a little bit. Kind of a non-event type of day. Taking a little breather after the Monster Tuesday. So I would love to talk about any of these positions individually. If you want me to talk about them, I will mention it. I'll make a video on it and tell you everything you want to know. Here is the account tab. I'm going to sort them by total return and then equity. If you notice, my top positions, my top 6 positions are positive, which is fantastic. Doing pretty well this year so far, unexpectedly well. This is the year chart, plus almost 51%. And for those of you who are really interested, for kicks and giggles, this is the all-time chart. The reason why the all-time chart looks like this is because for the first few years of holding this account, I had only a few $100s in it, and I didn't really touch it. So I started this account, taking it seriously somewhere around August, I forget, somewhere here, 2018. That's actually when I started making the videos as well. So I've now have about $67,000 that I've entered into the account, and I'm sitting at 135,700 for a 101.5 roughly percent gain so far on the account in a couple of years. I will make a year-end video, and I'll tell you, I'll break out down all the numbers. I usually do it on January 1st, so you'll see what's going on. But this is the chart. It's pretty fun stuff. There's a lot of things going on in there, including, catching falling knives, rebalancing positions, going very hard on precious metals, selling options. All kinds of crazy stuff has been going on in this account. But the strategy is there. I'm going to take this account to a million no matter what. All right, it's going to a million. So anyway, back to the account real quick. I want to talk about a very unusual, well, before I do that, a very unusual options activity in the, especially energy fuels. And when I noticed this activity, I was wondering, okay, well, why is this happening? And so I start looking through a bunch of news items about uranium, trying to figure out why is this options acting up, because I follow them fairly closely. And well, let me show you. It's this contract that I'm talking about, which is the April 16, 2021 $3 energy fuels contract. Now you'll see something very odd here, okay? And this will show you why option price is not always correlated with the underlying asset that it's covering. So even though energy fuels was down today by 2.2%, you would think that if I have a bunch of options sold, a call option sold against it, that would be up to rebalance that, right? Well, that's actually false. So Not only was the stock down $150, but the call options that I've sold against the stock were also down $225, more than the movement of the stock, even. And the reason why is that the activity in the options increased. And so these options started to get bid up, which means that people are starting to speculate on a rapid advance on the energy fuel price in the coming year. And I'm here to supply them with that demand that they're exhibiting. So I've actually ordered to sell 4 more contracts, effectively eliminating my entire energy fuel position if it goes over $3 or $2.5 in January and $3 in April, foregoing my entire position in energy fuels, which is now worth $5,500. Now, could this be a big mistake? Probably, because I've been waiting for this moment for a long time for uranium to pop off. But it hasn't happened yet, and it would be a shame to only gain this much money out of it. However, that's par for the course with my investments. I mean, if I just show you some of the moves that I made with silver in March, you would cry. And I might actually do that. Let me see if I can bring up SLV. But that's okay, when it comes to energy fuels, I give them the demand, I supply whatever they want. I'll give them overpriced. Well, maybe they're not overpriced. It could be winning positions, but I don't care about that. I want that premium. So here's what happened, right? So back in March, over here, let's do the 1 year chart. Back in March, at this $11-12 level, I bought a bunch of calls knowing that silver is going to rebound to at least 16 or something like that. And here I am selling the $13. I bought a bunch of $13 calls, and it's the $25 now, right, or something like that. Let's see, $22.37. I bought 37. This could have been a lot of money. This could have been thousands, right? So let me see if I can get a more complete picture here. So I sold a contract here for 505, 467. So the silver at that time was not that pricey. I don't think it says the price of SLV at that point, but July 14th is when I sold for its highest price, right? Because this is 467. I'm sorry, 465. And I sold 3 contracts here for 351. So I didn't make that much money off of these contracts, but let's see about these $13 ones, right? So the last one I sold is in July 14th. So let's see if I can go to SLV, see what the price was in July 14th. So I sold right here before the huge run up at $17.97 on the SLV. And then it went all the way up to 27 almost. But hindsight's 2020. You never know. So I just got rid of my contracts here, unfortunately. I could have held them up until now and beyond, and silver might still go up quite a bit. The contracts would have still been running. But that's par for the course with the way I run things, unfortunately, and I'm trying to learn from my mistakes, but it's very difficult to have a bunch of call options and not collect the premium. You could see them going down substantially. It's kind of what happened here with Apple. So this is the contract that I've had, and well, it only goes back to September. It doesn't go any further down, but it went down. I had it here September 1st, and then it went all the way down to 34 from 61, and I still have that contract. Hopefully, it regains these gains that I experienced here on September 1st, but we'll see. Apple would have to go above 135, I think, for me to do that at the moment. So anyways, I started talking about energy fuels and these contracts here. So let's go back to energy fuels. So when I saw this, I decided to go back and look at, okay, well, what's going on here with energy fuels? and it's experienced a really nice rise here in the last few months. And I looked at the news cycle, and I saw that some very promising news items are developing, but they're all just little, really tiny, small stuff. The last bad news that the uranium market experienced is when Brussels, I think, announced in Germany that they're closing down some reactors. But it seems that technology just keeps advancing, and they found out now how to build cost effectively smaller nuclear reactors that can be more strategically placed, around communities to power people up. And I think that uranium is actually going to be a very, talking a little bit about the future, it's going to be a very integral part of a more sustainable kind of like, energy program that we could implement as humans, okay, to sustain our energy needs. And other important news is that, well, they mentioned something about Brazil mining their own uranium, which is, they have two reactors there, which is fine. I mean, that's actually, net. I don't know if it's net negative or positive, but immediately negative for the uranium, right? Because if there's more supply coming on the market, then the price of uranium should go down. But what it does show is initiative about the uranium fuel as source. So uranium as a fuel source, and I like that. I mean, that's the direction we should be going. It's a very green metal. I mean, green metal, a very green energy source. With no emissions. It's actually, it's we take material from the ground that's radioactive, and we use it, and we leave material that's less radioactive into the ground. We put it back in there once we use it, right? So it's very helpful. It kind of reduces the radiation of the earth. So other news items is that one that I don't like so much, that I think there's approved the Uranium Reserve Act or something like that. I forget the abbreviations and the name of the act, but basically the U.S. uranium producers were asking the government to guarantee us a certain amount of the production of uranium that's needed by the U.S. reactors to be produced here at home in the U.S. And so I think they approved some kind of reserve that could be built up to sustain U.S. producers. So this would mainly affect the two U.S. producers that I have, which is Energy Fuels and URG, but I think also UEC too. And so, I mean, it's good news for them, but personally, I don't like whenever the solutions come from a forced kind of coerced position. Yeah, so they're artificially redirecting the market, and I know, other countries do the same exact thing. They subsidize their uranium production as well, so it's a really big mess. But it doesn't help the market that the countries become so involved in this production to where it's now full of just borders and blocks, and it's very difficult. It's kind of like letting water flow, but it now has to flow through a bunch of walls and redirections and channels and tubes and whatnot. It's going to flow in all kinds of weird ways that you weren't expected, because the channels are artificial. So, and they could create all kinds of spillages, right? We're talking about price, not the actual uranium, because that would be really dangerous. So, so that's the third kind of relevant news item that I want to talk about. But I just think this option activity is weird for a couple of reasons. One is because to highlight that the options are not necessarily correlated with price all the time. Eventually they're roughly correlated, but not like 1-to-1, right? So there could be other effects. I forget the term that it was used to. I mean, when volatility increases, the premiums go up with it. I forget what term was used for that, but it might come to me. But anyway, I'm not gonna spend too much time thinking about it. So that's one, and two is uranium as a whole. So those are the two topics that I wanted to cover today and talk about. So let me know if you've seen this kind of activity on something that you follow. I know a lot of you probably sell or buy options or trade options and whatnot. So let me know if you've seen this happen before and what company and what happened. How did it work out? Did you sell the premium or did you end up buying or what? Or just hold and see what happens? Did it revert the next day? So let me know if you've experienced something like that. Okay, well, anyway, new all-time high and very happy about it. Uh, Probably not going to last for very long, but I have a little bit of dry powder and I've neutralized my account, so I'm no longer, on margin. So I'm free to go in debt to buy more equities and whatever else I want to buy. So I'm ready for it. Probably might even raise some more cash soon. Who knows? But I also have $12,000 in emerging market bonds which I can sell. So I have some dry powder, and yes, I'm using debt as a reserve now. That's how aggressive I'm trying to get. But this account's not gonna get on to million on its own. It needs a little bit of help. So all right, I'm blabbering now. So I'm gonna stop it right here. Hope you all made more money than I did. Peace out.